Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Champs Corner with Tony. I'm here at the legendary Grant Brothers Boxing Gym, a genuine staple in the Canadian boxing community. Produce a lot of champions here in this place. I was also one of many privileged fighters to develop myself here and find my roots and take my game to the next level. I'm interviewing the Grant Brothers today, the legendary fighting Grant Brothers. I'm with the one of two of those brothers, Otis Grant, former world champion. How's it going, brother?
Hey, Tony,
good to see you, man. Coach Otis.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming over and, you're talking about paving the way. Like, you did your part. We did our part, and, we left a legacy for the younger generation to follow. So I'm glad you're still involved and that for those who don't remember, like you're here, like shedding light on some of the things that we've done in the past. So thanks for coming.
No, that is what I want to do today, because I think your story also specifically doesn't get told enough, I find, today, and it's one of the more underrated stories that should be talked more and promoted more in the game, because I think you've been an incredible ambassador for the game. And I never had the chance to tell you, because in all my years coming here to your gym, training and learning and sparring with you guys, I always came here as the fighter and I had to focus on myself, but yeah. I never had the chance to really tell you how much in my teen years I looked up to you, and I followed your story, your comeback story.
Yeah.
But before we get there, because we're gonna get there, I'm gonna start from the beginning. You and Howard were born in Jamaica,
yep.
Correct? Did you guys spend any time there in your childhood, or was it most of your memories come from being in Canada growing up?
No, I have a lot of childhood memories in Jamaica. I left Jamaica when I was 9 years old.
Oh,
so,
okay,
okay. I grew up there. I lived with my grandparents. Sadly, they both passed during the COVID epidemic. But I had family still in Jamaica. I go back there from time to time. I haven't been back since I went to my grandfather's funeral. My grandmother's funeral was the last one to pass. But that's home for me, and this is my adopted home. But my boxing career all started in Canada. So I owe everything that I have and that I've done in this game to this country.
So. Growing up in Canada, what was life growing up as a minority immigrant back then in Montreal during that time? What was that like for you and Howard growing up? And did you have to learn the language? Was learning English an adjustment?
No. When we came to Canada and we went to school, we were able to go to English school. It's not like today, because we came in before the Bill 101 law was passed that says that all immigrants coming to Quebec have to go to French school. So we came in before that. So luckily we were educated in English, and I learned language a little bit. I still don't speak 100% French, but I've been here long enough that I can speak enough French to get by day to day. My children are fully bilingual, and it wasn't so much of an adjustment. We had English friends, went to English school. I think, seeing snow for the first time, I'll never forget that. I was excited. I loved the snow because that was something new.
Yeah, for sure.
Never seen that before. So we go out there and play and make snowballs and play King of the Mountain and all that kind of stuff, man. so that's some great childhood
Then
memories.
you have kids and you get to do it again.
Yeah, well, when you get kids, the snow, the winter's cold. The snow's cold now. It's not like it used to be when you were younger.
No, now we have to shovel instead. When did you? Was there any of? You discovered boxing when you were what, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah,
roughly?
I was 11 years old. I think my brother was 12. We discovered boxing by chance. We had friends that we went to school with, neighborhood friends that, it was summer vacation, and we had stuff that we were doing. Our routine, go to the parks in the morning, and the pool's open at 1 o'clock, and go something around where we grew up, and then we go to the pool. And that was like our summer routine. We play sports in the morning, go to the pool in the afternoon. And one morning, two brothers, Robin and Terry, came back to the group and said, "Hey, we discovered this boxing gym on the Carry, in our neighborhood," and told the group. And next day, the entire group went. So that was our introduction to boxing. We just found it on summer vacation through friends, and it was close enough to where we lived that even after summer was over, like we could just walk 3.5, 4 blocks up the street, and we would go there and it was safe space. Our parents knew where we were, and that's how we started training and started doing club shows, and then got on provincial team, then eventually national team, and represented Canada internationally as an amateur. So but it all started from just fooling around in the summertime.
Now, obviously, the world knows I've always known that your main trainer, you're from childhood all the way up, to the pinnacle of your pro career was always Russ Amber at Ring 83. Did it start at Ring 83?
No, it didn't start at Ring 83. We started in Ville Saint-Laurent at Saint-Laurent Boxing Club with a trainer by the name of Lucien Hebert.
Okay.
He was he was an older gentleman that was a boxer back in the day, and he ran the Saint-Laurent Boxing Club, and then he got sick, and his son Claude kind of came in and took it over, but Claude was getting married, and he had his own life going on, and that's when Russ came in.
Okay.
And Russ started helping Claude, and then Russ took over the gym, and we would go and work. Russ would have us working with pros and sparring with pros with kids, and the city gym was run by the city administration. I think word got out that Russ was taking us training pros, and they fired him. They let him go. They replaced him with somebody else. After, I guess, they warned him, but we still did it. And we left for Russ, and that's how, when we left for Russ, it was in, I think, 1983. And that's how we left. We got the city of Montreal was opening up some sports and recreational facilities and gyms and stuff like that for the youth, and found out that Russ had a ragtag bunch of guys, most of us Jamaicans. We were training in the park in the summer and in the fall, and we went to the Nationals that year, and I think it was 5 or 6 of us, and we came back with, I think, 4 gold medals and silver and the bronze. So we all came back with medals, and the city found that out, and that's how they gave us a gym, and that's how Ring 3 got started. And then Russ, from there, we went on to become world champion. Yeah, we took off from there.
Beautiful. Where did you get when did the term, the magic get placed on you? How did that come about? When did people start calling you as Otis Magic Grant? Where did that come from?
It came from that, I played a lot of basketball, and Mac Johnson was my idol.
Ah, okay.
And we used to play, in the summer, like I say, in summer, we play sports. So one time we were playing, football, but we played tackle football or something. And someone had me the ball off, and I was running back, and I tuck it under my shirt, and I kind of walked backwards into the end zone with the football. Nobody knew where football was. And then apparently Howard said, it's magic. And it stuck, and my friends just called me Magic because I started to play like Magic Johnson. And however it is that it got... It got stuck to me since I was about 15 years old. Yeah, 15, 16 years old. My dad called me, man. My parents called me Magic. Not my mother, but my father called me Magic. Yeah.
Mom had other names for you. I noticed. So your amateur career, one of the highlights. I know you were Canadian champion and competed on the national team for several years, but one of the big milestones I saw that stuck out to me was silver at the 1987 Pan American Games. Yeah. Yeah. Would you say, is that accurate, saying that's probably your biggest amateur milestone, or fill in the blanks if I'm missing something?
It was probably, I mean,
it's a big one.
I won a few international tournaments overseas. You usually would go to Europe and stuff like that, and represent Canada on a circuit annually. We go Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Holland, all these places. But the Pan American Games was the year before Olympic year, and my goal was to go make the 88 Olympics, and I went there. They had great competition. I fought. I got to the finals. I fought Angel Espinoza, and he was one of very few guys that both me and my brother fought that beat us both. So he was a legendary Cuban fighter. I heard he's passed away recently.
I watched it.
But that fight was a fight. He knocked out that in that tournament. He was world champion 156, and Daryl Allen was champion, world champion at 165, the United States guy. You should watch that fight. Like they fought in the semifinals.
Okay.
Allen and him, so 2 world champions. So that was a fight. That was a fight at a tournament. And like Espinosa cracked him, and the Cuban team got up and counted in English. 1, 2. They counted 10 3 times, and I was still on the floor, man. Like, and then I had to fight this guy in the final, and Russ being Russ, so I said, like, this guy gotta be careful, like, so Russ was very nervous. Don't worry, Russ, like, we got this. But I mean, I went in there, I did my best. I cracked him with a really good shot in that fight, and he just bang his gloves together, like, oh yeah, come on. That's why I said, man, this guy, I'm not gonna get rid of this guy no time soon. So I lost the decision, but it was probably one of my biggest amateur achievements was winning the Pan American Games silver medalist.
100%. But you could see in that video too that especially the Cubans and the Russians and the old Soviet bloc, those guys, when you start reaching the international level, athletes here coming from North America, we're still kids. And we're fighting these grown men. They're pros in headgear. These guys already got like 200-300 some amateur fights, and they've been in their late 20s, early 30s almost. And we're still just minors, 18, 19 years old, and going in there. So you're in there with a grown man pro in headgear. What was it like your first time though? Like you're on the national team, you're going to now very significant international tournaments like this. You're traveling the world. I mean, you're seeing new cultures, new people, and you're going up against these champions in a whole new. You're eating foreign food, making weight in a different country, foreign food, everything. Was it? I mean, for me, it was all blurred, that kind of stuff. I look back now, it's like it's a lot in one little short window in your life.
It was difficult, especially the making weight part. That's when. You come off the plane and like, you retain water being on the plane, and like you come off the plane, you gotta cut weight and make weight. You might have a day or two to get to your weight. And I remember I was representing Canada at 156 pounds, and I went to a tournament. I think it might have been in Holland, maybe Copenhagen Box Cup back in the day. And the world champion was at 165 pounds, which was German super middleweight. I forget his name right now. Henry Maske.
Oh yeah. I remember him.
Remember him?
Yeah.
So I get off the plane, man, and I got off the plane at 163.5 pounds, and I'm fighting. I got to be at 156 from the scale the next day, and I'm like, what am I gonna? So I'm like, I'm not looking to go up there and fight Maske, especially at a weight that I don't compete at. So. I was in the sauna, I was running, I was skipping in the sauna. I made the weight, and luckily I got a bye the first night of the tour. I didn't have to fight. I was so drained out, I could hardly stand up. But like making weight wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. That was my last competition on national team at 156. After that tournament, I went up to 165.
Okay. And how long did you stay at 65 before you eventually? Because then you went pro. You went pro just in the very early 90s, right?
Yeah.
So you had a couple more years in the amateurs. You compete on the national team. And
I turned pro like it was the end of 1988. After the Olympics. So when Howard came back from the Olympics, instead of doing the 4-year circuit to try to do Barcelona, was it Barcelona in '92? 88,
but Korea was 88, Barcelona was 92. That's right. So before
instead of trying to do that, like we already tried the 88, we turned pro and started, became prize fighters, fighting for monies and trophies instead of trophies and medals. We turned professional, and career took off from there.
Yeah, like
and at 165, I mean, like Canada had two. Like I moved up. And Egerton Marcus was 178.
That boy could punch.
And he moved down from 78 to 65 because he had lost that World Cup, and I was moving up from 56
Did you guys
65. Yeah, so the Cable came and they tried to get me to go back to 56. I said, no, send him back to 78 because he was already at 78. He was the silver medalist at World Cup at 78. And we ended up fighting, but they knew they had two of the best guys.
Right.
in the same weight class, and they didn't want it, but we both stayed there, and I beat Egerton that year at nationals, and then he put me back at Olympic trials. So he ended up.
That boy could punch.
Yeah, and he lost to Henry Maskey in the
Right.
finals. He got silver, he got a silver medal.
Yeah.
So, but he beat me to go to the 80 Olympics. My brother went to 80 Olympics on that team with Lennox and those guys.
Your brother had a legendary amateur career. One of our
One of the best in the country's history, I think.
underrated.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that more with him when I get him in here. But I know he just recently got inducted in the Canadian Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's at least 15 years overdue, in my opinion.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It was a long time coming.
But you had a very solid, accomplished amateur career, but you really shined in the pros. You had the frame and the bone density and the skills to really shine well and transition well in the pros. And when I looked at, I was young, like when you were coming up the Canadian scene and you climbed to the title, I was still a little too young to follow and understand. But when I did my research on you and found some of your old fights, like man, some of just the notable names you faced before you hit the world title and HBO and everything, like you got some names on here like Derek James, who's now esteemed world-class trainer to a lot of today's stars. But Derek James, Lonnie Bradley, even for the Canadian title against Dan Cherry, my old man's got some amateur tapes of Dan Cherry when he was fighting. That boy could box. So you got some.
Dan Cherry and I tangled a little bit in the amateurs because we're around the same weight.
Okay.
Also, and as a pro, I won the Canadian title. I fought Dan Cherry in Niagara Falls in his backyard.
That's good, eh?
That was a memorable fight. But these guys that you grew up with, like fighting or competing at national level or international level, and as a pro, you end up having to fight these guys, so you have no choice. But and that's why this game is not personal. Some guys, you see them in the ring trying to kill each other after the fight. It's the only sport you see the guys embrace. They show a lot of love to one another. So it just shows that we're in a sport that friendship doesn't have anything to do with it. You're doing your job.
Well, you know what, too. I can say for myself, some fights where I've felt inclined to embrace the guy after fights, because you give so much of yourself in a fight, and it demands so much from you. Then your opponent had a say in that. He played a part in demanding so much out of you, where he forced you to dig into the deeper parts of your character, to bring things out you didn't even know you had, and vice versa. You guys bring out the best in each other. So you share that moment. Those are timeless moments that you can't get back. How can you not have respect for the guy?
No,
whenever it's, I don't know, that old quote Tyson says, I get it wrong every time, but something about along the lines of, sometimes who you think is your enemy, everybody that you think is your enemy is not your enemy or your friend. Everybody you think is your friend is not your enemy.
It's not your enemy.
Sometimes the guy across the ring is your closest friend,
Yeah, because he knows what you're going through.
Absolutely. So you had a setback before winning the world title. You fought Quincy Taylor.
Yeah.
Again, good, world class, solid dude. Guys who remember back then, who were around back then, know, what he was bringing to the table. So that was your first loss as a pro.
My first loss. It was, I think, a world title eliminator, and the winner of that fight would go on to fight for world title. So he went on. He won. It was a fight that man, it's like hindsight is 20/20, but it's a fight that was close. It was a tough fight. It was southpaw. I never fought another southpaw because I was southpaw. I never fought another southpaw at that level. And we heard in the 10th round going in that the fight was dead even, and I was told by my corner, my wrestler, hey, you need these last 2 rounds to win. So I went out there, I pushed the 11th, and I won, and I was pushing the 12th. And I got hit with a jab, but I was so tired that, usually I could defend with my eyes closed. If I get hit with a jab, I know the right hand is coming, so I slip this. I'm gonna slip the right hand this way, right? But Quincy hit me with a jab, and I slipped right. I slipped the wrong side because he's left-handed. I slipped and dang, I walked into the left hand, and the next thing I remember hearing was 5, 6. I didn't even hear the 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got up, and the referee was a good referee. He asked me, he says, you go. I say, I'm okay. So the referee said, okay. He says, step towards me. So I tried to step towards him, and I stumbled. And he just grabbed me and said, no, fight's done. So he waved the fight out. So that was a tough loss. So my first loss was the hard way to lose that fight, especially at the end of the fight. Had I just killed the last round and ran away, I'd have won the fight. Because 2 judges had me ahead, and the last judge had the fight even. So I would have won. I would have won the fight had I not pushed.
Yeah,
And tried. There was only 22 seconds left in the fight when I got cracked.
Game time decisions. I remember the first time I got well within the pros, suffering my first loss, and I remember thinking, my brain was so aware. I felt alert, but my legs had a whole mind of its own. And I remember I remember thinking I wanted to fight back. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and my legs weren't cooperating. And the guy keeps hitting me, and I'm seeing the punches, and I can't get out of the way. And I remember thinking, this literal thought in my head, I can get back in if this guy would just stop punching me for a second. Get tired, and give me a minute, and I'll be right back. And that doesn't work like that, right?
It was a tough loss.
It's a tough way to learn.
Especially learning after the fight.
Right.
Had I just killed the last round, I would have won the fight. But he went on and he beat Julian Jackson in the world title fight.
He was a dangerous puncher back then. Dangerous puncher. Good skills too. Underrated skills, but good, dangerous puncher.
Yeah, Jackson could hit like a truck.
Oh yeah.
But
that wasn't the end of Magic though.
No,
you had a few more tricks up your sleeve.
No, for sure.
How was there any mental obstacles you had to overcome from that loss though? Because now you know that, hey, I can be put on the floor now. Like, was there any? It's humbling.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
for sure.
Was there
losing like that is humbling, but like I kind of like chalked it up. I didn't rest on that because had I relied on that and made too much of it, like it would probably hinder my moving forward. And I think the fact that I tried to get behind me. I think my next fight, the only time that like I fought, I think it was William Bo James, I believe it was. I fought after that Taylor loss, and like he was a tall, lanky guy, and like Taylor was still in my head from that fight, and that's when I learned. I said I need to leave the past in the past. That happened. That was yesterday. I moved forward, so I can't be worried about a fight that happened already while I'm fighting somebody else. So that fight was a closer than should have been fight because I wasn't 100% up here, So there's a lot of things like that. I mean, this is stuff that I never have even told anybody. So, but after that Bo James fight, I was able to jump back on the horse and feel like myself, and then we ran off a couple more wins and got a shot at the title again.
How much time did it take before you got into the ring with Bo James? From that setback
I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think it could have been
roughly less than 6 months.
Yeah, maybe 4 months.
Yeah. So myself too, I got back in the ring 4 months after my first loss. But that's one thing I find where guys can go wrong today is when they suffer their first loss and their confidence takes a hit. Because when you're undefeated, it's a different aura, it's a different confidence you have about yourself, and you'll take more chances and more risks because you haven't been humbled yet or exposed to a certain level or what it's like to feel lesser than, right? You get and I find guys when their confidence takes such a hit after their first loss, they sit on the bench too long. Yeah. And the longer you sit, that's when the more doubts creep in. So I've always been of the mantra that just dust yourself off, get back on that horse as quick as you can. Barring any injuries, get back on the horse as quick as you can, shake it off. That's the best way to get over a loss is just get right back in there again, man. And learning the answers will come as you go.
I was back in the gym. I don't remember if it was exactly 4 months, could have been 4 to 6 months, but I was back in the gym, and what happened was, at the time, Art Palula was my promoter, but he didn't have me on paper. When I lost to Taylor, he was trying to get me on paper, but I wasn't. now I lost Taylor. He's promoting Taylor, and I'm not getting the fights I was getting on USA Tuesday Night Fight Series. Where I was promoting these guys before, you know. So I called him, and he said, "Oh, I offered you a contract and you didn't sign it, and this guy beat you, and like I have him on paper, so he's my priority." So I said, "All right, give him the contract." So that's how we're able, that's how he would get back going, you know. And then he got me an opportunity at Lonnie Bradley. To fight in Las Vegas. That was my first world title opportunity when I fought.
You were already NABF champion. Well, you won the NABF title twice.
Yeah.
During that run. Okay.
Yeah, I was two-time NABF champion. And what's good about those titles, I don't know if it's still the same today, but like, you know,
What gets you rated, right?
My journey was like from winning the Canadian championship from Dan Sherry. That gave me a top 10 ranking, I believe it was, with
Canadian title doesn't do that anymore.
With the WBC, I think it was.
It's huge.
And then from that, it gave me a maybe top 2, 3 in the NABF, and winning the NABF also was affiliated with the WBC.
That's right.
So I was moving with WBC, through the Canadian Championship, giving me a top 10 rating, and then when NABF would give a top 6 rating in WBC. So what was crazy is that I had, by the time that fight for my first world title came around, I was #1 WBC, #1 WBO, and my contract with Blue called for the same money, regardless of any of those WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, any one of those titles I fought for, it was the same minimum first. So I took the one that came first, and it kind of upset the WBC because they said, "Hey man, you've been working with us," and Mario Traverse and Jean-Guy Prescott, who were with the Quebec Commission here, they were WBC people too. So these guys all got me with WBC,
Right.
but the WBO World Title shot came, and I took it because money was the same money, right? So I pissed off a couple of people, and I remember one time being at the WBC convention and seeing Mr. Solomon, and he was like, "Hey, pushed you, and then you went and fought for the other title." Like, he goes, I said,
It came first.
"Yeah, that's it.
It came
same
first.
money."
The money was.
The convention was in Montreal too, so they had me as one of their speakers one night,
Right.
and I went up there and I spoke, and
With your WBO belt.
but the guy was like, "Hey, yeah."
But that title down, that you winning a world title is a huge accomplishment itself. But you did it on the road and not just on the road, but like overseas on the road.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard a story.
It doesn't happen very often, but it happened in our case.
I've heard it. Now, I attempted to win a world title in England as well.
Yeah.
Like so, I didn't have this, I wasn't able to accomplish it and come with the victor that night. But you did. But one of the stories I hear when you guys landed. So tell me how much of this is truth to this. Typically they have a guy there at the airport with your name on it, and he's a guy working for the promoter. He's going to take you around and escort you, take you where you're going to be, where you're going to stay for lodging and everything and all that. But Russ, through his own personal network, had connections with a place to stay. Your trainer, okay, Russie. So he had his own place where you guys were going to stay, your own gym where you guys were going to train, away from where Frank Warren, the promoter down there.
Right.
They weren't going to know where you guys were. You guys got there about 2 weeks before the fight, right? Roughly?
We were in England like 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Oh wow! So a full training camp.
We ran
That's
a
a full
training camp
camp.
out of England.
And when you guys land and get there, the promoter Frank Warren is livid with Russ because he doesn't know where you guys, because he had his own plans where you guys are going to be lodging, knows where you guys are staying, and you guys made your own arrangements when you get there. So for 2 months they have no idea where you were, they can't track you.
Right.
And it's just you'll see us on fight night. That's all true.
A lot of it is true, but like I'll tell you what I remember. Like they want to bring us over. I think it was 5 days before the fight. You know, like so you don't have enough time to acclimatize, to get used to the time change and all that. Like, I had family in England. Like I had 2 aunts and uncle. I had a bunch of cousins over there, all on my father's side, and I used to train in New Jersey, like when I fight a new USA.
Well, Palulu was
tonight.
Jersey-based
Yeah,
to his
it's
company.
Philadelphia,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay, sorry.
it was right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But he had connections with a club called Second Street Youth Center,
Okay.
which was a Jersey club. Was John Davenport. That was
Oh,
his
yeah.
gym, and then he had guys like Harold Knight, Tracy Spann, Glenn
I
Brown,
remember these guys.
all those guys, Adam Garland, like
a lot of iron.
Albert Steele Mills. Albert just passed away last week. I just found out from Harold Knight last week. So we would go into New Jersey, stay in Fanwood or stay in Plainfield, and we would train in Plainfield. And at the time, John Davenport and Harold Knight was also Lennox Lewis's. They were training Lennox. They were Lennox's trainers. So there's a little guy from England named Benny May that was Harold's guy. He was training with Harold, and he would be at a couple of my training camps, and I became close. Me and Russ became close with Benny. And then when this England fight popped up, we made a couple of phone calls, and Russ had someone in England that had just passed away, and there was a house there that was empty, and that we rented it through his connection. And I called Benny and said, Benny, I need a place to train under the radar. I want to be over. I'm going to come in early. We're going to run everything out. We're going to come out. So I called Palulu, and he gave us. I asked him for an advance on my purse. I'll go in England.
This is some OG stuff right
here. Yeah, set up my own training camp. So he gave us the advance. We were able to buy our tickets, rent the flat that we had over there, and go there. And we were like at home. We go to my aunt's on weekends. They'll send us food.
Beautiful.
So we have, and Howard was the cook. So like it was one of the best training camps. Like we went there, we did our own thing. You know when they say that song, you did it your way. We did it our way.
Yeah.
We didn't rely on our opponent's promoter to set us up. And
beautiful.
So
it's a dream.
So we went over there, we did things our way, and it paid off.
So that fight with Ryan Rhodes, he was a Brendan Ingle guy, correct?
Yeah.
Now, Brent, I rewatched that fight because I hadn't seen it yet. I rewatched it again, and it made me appreciate so much. Again, just sometimes you forget how good a guy was sometimes on time. But you were blessed with physical strength, but yet the skill and technique. You were well schooled. You were a dedicated craftsman and that was an awesome display of just sound fundamentals. That was basics and fundamentals at its best, working in that fight. And the crime in that fight was that I had you winning 9 or 10 rounds.
Yeah.
How did you?
Yeah,
how did you feel?
I thought that I had won much. I think there was
it was 7-5. One guy had it
by 2 rounds.
Yes.
Or another guy by 1 round. I think it was
114, 113, and the other two had it like 115, 113. I'm like, he had to dominate to just eke out a decision.
And that's fighting. That's when
that's what it's like on the road.
On the road, fighting a guy in his hometown on the road for a world title.
Yeah,
100%.
boxing doesn't want to fix itself. You had to dominate just to get a fair shake on the scorecards.
Yeah.
But you did it. You accomplished. Every kid that walks in the gym dreams of becoming a world champion. You did it. You did it that night.
Yeah.
You can feel the joy and elation, and it's that you. Those last now, what was it like preparing for a guy like him? Because Brendan Ingle's guys and Ryan Rhodes was no exception. He trained his guys to be very unorthodox, very unconventional. Hands at the hips, a lot of acrobatic type stuff. Very awkward, herky jerky.
They had a great stable of guys. They had Rhodes. They had Prince Nassim. They had a bunch of guys from Sheffield. That was in that gym, so they were a big name at the time in the sport, and preparing for the fight. Like I ran, if my condition was good, I was good. So my brother and I, Howard would come over. Howard was our cook in camp. Like he could, but he's also my running mate in the mornings. Every morning, run down the Thames River or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
So we would run, and I had my own sparring partners. Like John Scully was my sparring partner there, and then when we need some real good work, we'd go into a London gym.
You must have needed some southpaw sparring, right? Because he switch
Yeah,
headed.
yeah. So we were so on the radar. Like in England back in the day, like amateurs and pros. I don't know if it's still the same today. They're not allowed to train together.
Oh.
Right? So we were training at Benny May's amateur gym. Like after the amateurs would come in and they train, they're gone. We'd go on at 9 o'clock and we'd train 9 till like 11 o'clock, 11:30 because we knew we were fighting late. So I wanted to get my body used to working at that late hour because I knew that when we fight in the main event, it's going to be a late fight. So they were in, they go in, close up, and then we'd go in after they close up, and nobody knew that we were there until I remember one time they sent, going back to your story earlier, they sent their guys to pick us up at the airport, their driver, and we didn't come off the plane. And Artie Palou got a call, and he was, hey Otis, are you guys okay? Are you in England? That was a call from Frank Warren's office. He's pissed out. You guys didn't make it off the plane? I said, no, we've been here for 8 weeks. We've been here for 10 months. It's okay. That's why we didn't rely on them. We took an advance and did this stuff our own way. So
Awesome. That's some OG stuff. Now you win the world title. You made one defense of that title, and then it's almost a Rocky Balboa movie. You get the phone call, you know, move up 2 weight divisions, fight the best fighter of your generation.
Yeah.
Roy Jones Jr. On HBO, you know, for all the marbles. How'd that come about? That's when I first got wind of you because everybody watched Roy Jones back then. Right?
He was pound for pound king of the sport.
He was the guy, you know, and so you get in there, you fight Roy. What's going through your mind? All of it, man.
The Roy Jones fight came about, from what I understand, is that I came up on USA Tuesday Night Fight Series, and apparently Roy Jones was a fan, or you would watch the fights on USA Tuesday Night Fight, and you know, while I was boxing professionally, I was working in high school, so that was well publicized, especially in the United States. You know, this guy's a school teacher and he's working with his kids, and he's a prize fighter. So apparently, I heard that Roy said, "Hey, like a lot of these guys are out there wanting to shot at me, a bunch of trash talkers. I like to take them back alley and like give it to them real good." He goes, "I like to give a kid like Otis Grant, who's good example for the sport. He works with the school system. He works with kids. That's the guy that deserves a shot at my." So I heard it came around that way. And when Art got the call, and he called me. That's what he told me. I said, I'm not light heavyweight, man.
And they say that nice guys don't sell. No, nice guys do sell.
Yeah.
And you know, I always felt you were under-publicized and under-promoted on the Canadian boxing scene. You had to take it on the road and sign with an American promoter and then fight overseas to get your just dues because you were underappreciated in your own country for too many years.
100%. It's only after I came back from winning the world title in England. I came back to the airport and there was security there waiting for me. It's never happened before in my life. Like security, there's a bunch of people outside. There's television cameras. And that's when I came home, and I realized that maybe I did something pretty special because they had the school that I worked at. Yeah. They let the kids go early so they could come to the airport.
That's beautiful. That's great.
To welcome me home. So a lot of people welcomed me home. So that was one of the highlights of my career was coming home from that trip and getting the reception that I got at the airport.
I didn't forget about your education or your work in the community. Yeah. We're gonna touch on that in a moment. But so you fight Roy Jones. You're fighting the best fighter of your generation. Fought your heart out. Your basics and fundamentals and strength and resilience got you through about 10 hard rounds, 10 or 11 hard rounds. Russ, your trainer since childhood, feels like, okay, he's seen enough. You're against a bigger man, all-time great in his prime. He feels now like you're little Gandhi. He wants to protect you from himself. He goes in, he makes that tough call that no trainer ever wants to make. Throws in the towel so you can live to fight another day. No shame. You lost to, in my opinion, one of the top 20 fighters of all time. and you went 10, 11 hard rounds.
Uh-huh.
Russ comes in, throws in the towel. You move on, you fight it. You should have the chance to fight another day.
Yeah.
Within a few months later, 5, 6 months later, give or take,
Yeah.
you're driving.
Yeah.
You're driving. I don't know if you were on a highway or freeway
Yeah, I
or
was on a
something.
highway coming from up north.
From what I remember, you had your old stablemate, former fighter Hercules Caval's in the passenger seat.
Yeah, and my daughter in the back seat.
Six
the
years old at
passenger
the time.
side. She was 4. Yeah,
4,
yeah.
okay. So there was a car coming down your lane. Is that it?
Yeah,
Coming
the
eastbound when
car
you should have
was-
been going
Yeah,
west.
the car was driving the wrong side.
Yeah.
Like I was coming home, so I was coming
Yeah.
south, and that car was going north, but on the
Oh.
wrong side of the highway, on
Nightmare.
the southbound lanes.
Yeah.
And because there was a on-off exit ramp, and she took the
Yeah.
wrong one and ended up going the wrong way. And that accident. As a matter of fact, I was coming from up north. I had a meeting with Yvonne Michel, and they're talking about doing the first professional boxing card at New Bell Center. Because before it was the old Montreal Forum. So that's going to be new. So they wanted to, put me on that card.
Yeah.
But they needed permission from Mark Palulu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that was my promoter. He needed to
That's right.
release me for that. And my contract was coming to an end, so I wanted to test the market at home and see if I had it following. And Art wasn't very
Wasn't
happy.
pushing.
Yeah,
Okay.
he wasn't very
Okay.
happy with that because, like, he's like, fuck these guys. He goes, where were these guys when you needed them? Like, they're going to wait for me to come in, take you, develop you on the road, win the title. Now they want to bring you home for a fight? Fuck at me.
But on your side of it, you want to go where the money goes. So whoever's the better offer.
I wanted to see what
Yeah. Weigh out your
my-
options.
what my worth was at
Yeah.
home, and I knew that would have been my last contract. And if I had to finish a last contract, when my contract was up, I would have an option to see if I could finish at home because I fought on the road for so many of my fights was outside of Quebec, So all my big fights were outside of Quebec. So I wanted to come home and see if I could finish in Montreal what we started on the road many years ago,
Yeah, absolutely. And you did get that chance, but not right at that time because
Yeah.
now this accident, this car crash happens. Now, the way I recall from it, because it sounds to me like you didn't have too much time to think, but you managed to make the time to think, I'm going to spin the car.
Yeah.
I take the full brunt of it. You basically
100%.
did everything you could.
I was
You
coming up the
sacrificed your
hill.
life for your daughter
Yeah.
and your friend and stablemate.
Yeah,
And you,
yeah.
because they miraculously, when they went, they were relatively unscathed from it.
Yeah.
God bless them.
Yeah, no, for
Now,
sure.
you, five broken ribs,
Yeah.
punctured
Punctured
lung,
yeah.
everything on this whole left side of yourself was okay.
Yeah. All still here.
Yeah, I know. Oh, so when I first started, when you made your comeback was when I got to really follow your story, because now I was an age where I could understand, I was mature enough to recognize the storyline and what you're coming back from. So I remember every time I'd see you fight, get in the ring on your comeback, I'm seeing that big scar. I was like 17, 18 at the time. Like, man, that's crazy. He's lucky he's even walking. Never mind get back. And doctors never thought you would box again. Just be happy if you get to walk.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that you fought to stay awake? Like, once you found out your little girl was going to be okay,
Yeah.
that's when you slip into a coma for 7 days.
Yeah.
That's accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And, like, from what I remember, like the accident happened and the ambulance came and I think they took us, me, her, and her 3 separate ambulances. So I was in the ambulance and I kept asking them guys, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? And like, sir, you've been in a very bad car accident. Please, you need to calm down. So, well, they kind of sedated me, but I kept asking, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? And even in the hospital, it's noisy, and I kept screaming, like no, they put me in the hospital in a resting area, and I was screaming, where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? And this nurse came, and she said, sir, you need to calm down. You've been in a very bad accident. You've been in a very serious accident. You need to calm down. She goes, what can I help you with? I said, my daughter, she was in the car. I need to know that she's okay now. if what happened to her, if she's okay. And then she went, boom, she came back about maybe 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes later on. She said, sir, your daughter, we found her. She's in the hospital. She's here. She's fine. There's a lot of the glass shattered, so a lot of broken glass is all in her hair and was braided. And that. But she goes, she's okay. She's going to be all right. And once I knew that, I think I woke up. I think 9 or 10 days later, I slept into the coma, you know. But like I think that kept me, the adrenaline kept me going until I knew that she was good.
Absolutely, man. It's a movie. Why there hasn't been any direct movie script artists have come to see you guys yet to make a movie? You know, it's beyond me. But because you guys are so quiet and humble, you just go about your business every day and just do your work right in front of the other. You guys don't wear it on your sleeve and talk about the things you've done. You just do it, which is one of the things I've always admired and respected about you guys. So now it's you wake up. Did it feel like you were just waking up from a nap? Did you recognize that you had been out for a while, or did it feel like you just took a sleep when you come out of it?
When I woke up, I felt like quite like rested. Like I felt witty and my mind felt sharp.
Okay.
And but the thing is, what I realize now, because I was on some medication, my wife was in the room with me a lot of times, and like at that time the Oprah Winfrey show was was popular, right?
Yeah.
So she was an Oprah Winfrey fan. So I was in a coma, but I could hear what's going on, but
And you wake up, the first voice you hear is Oprah.
So what happened was this is a funny story. I said from hearing the Oprah Winfrey, I would dream about what I'm hearing, right? So I dreamt that I met Oprah Winfrey and I had dinner with her, and I woke up and I told my wife, because I knew she was such an Oprah Winfrey. I said, "Baby, you wouldn't believe it. I met Oprah Winfrey. I met Oprah Winfrey. Like, well, I had dinner with her at her house now." And like, and she looks at me like, what are you talking? She goes, like, "You're in a hospital. You just woke up from your coma. Like, what are you talking?" And then I realized that I looked at her and I was like, "Fucking true." And then after that summer, I was so heavily medicated.
Yeah.
And I would take medication and I would sleep and fell asleep with TV on, and whatever was talking, I would dream
Yeah.
about what I was hearing.
Wow.
And then I realized that's what happened. But she thought that like there might have been something wrong with my.
Oh, jeez.
So she called the doctors and then said, "Hey,
no.
you gotta make sure that because he's saying that he met her, but all it was just I was just dreaming this.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Oh, jeez.
I didn't know what happened, but it seemed so real at the time. You know, it's crazy.
4 years, 4.5, 5 years, whatever, before you get back in the ring. But a lot of room there between the cup and the lip there. That 4-year hiatus.
Yeah.
How long was recovery? Did it even, when you started recovering, when you leave the hospital, did it enter your mind, I'm going to get back in the ring? When did that come about in that 4 years?
No, not really. I was just like...
happy to be alive?
Happy to be alive. I still have my job at high school, so I still had some income coming in. The boxing wasn't even really... You know, the doctor told me that, you know, I'd be lucky to be a recreational athlete again, much less go back. He said, when I was leaving an ex-interview with the hospital, the doctor told me, "Otis, I have good news and I have bad news. Which one do you want first?" I said, "You know what, give me the bad news first, because I've been in here for a month and I'd like to leave the hospital with a little bit of good news." So he said, "The bad news is your career as a professional athlete is done. It's over." He goes, "You'd be lucky to be a recreational athlete, to have success in being a recreational athlete again." So that was the bad news. I said, "Okay, so what's the good news?" He goes, "Well, you should be able to make a full recovery or near to a full recovery, and you'll be able to live a normal life, you know?" And so that was the good news. So like, he didn't leave me. I didn't leave that hospital with any thoughts of ever fighting again if I was going to listen to what the doctor had to say. You know? But my brother was training some fighters. We were Josh and Alcin
Oh, yeah.
was our first world champion that we trained. And Josh was fighting for a Canadian title against the Southpaw. And what was happening was that after I got hospital and all that, I was training and the guys hitting the bag a little bit and just to stay in shape. And
How
get
much
in
time
shape.
has passed here since the accident?
This is probably
A year, 2 years?
Yeah,
A year?
maybe 2 years.
Okay.
2 years or so.
Okay.
2 years, 3 years. So I'm hitting the bag of it, and I'm working the bag. I'm could hit the bag. So Joe's fighting Southpaw. We can't find any sparring for him, right? At any good level. So Howard says to me one day, "Hey, do you think you're okay enough to move around with Joe until we find him a real sparring partner?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Give me 5. Give me a week." So let me start running. I'll try to get my cardio back. So I started running every other day. I run distance one day, sprint the next day, run distance, sprint, just to get the cardio because I hadn't been to the ring.
That's a shock to the body, though,
Yeah.
Otis. That'd be a shock to the body for someone who hasn't just trained in 2-3
Yeah.
years, but never mind gone through the trauma you
Yeah.
went through. Well, you're hitting the road again. It sounds easy. I'm just gonna go for a run. No, when you start pounding your joints on the
Yeah.
road again, after what you went through on top of that, debility, like a near death. What was that first run like? You then, honestly,
I don't remember.
Okay.
I lived near Riverdale High School. They had a track.
okay.
So I started with the track. I'd run, or I'd run like a 30-minute route, and I end up at the track, and I end up sprinting at the track. And I did that, and then I started sparring with Joe, and word got out real quick that, and I sparred with Joe at a public training session
Yeah.
at the MAA club down in Montreal.
TriStar?
MAA, Montreal Athletics
okay.
Association. Now,
Okay.
I think it's a racquet club, but anyhow. It's a club that's been there for years, 100 years. I was sparring with Alcin, and like word got out that, hey, Otis back in the gym, it's looking like he didn't lose too much from the accident. And then I sparred with Joe at that public training, and I got out the ring, I took my headgear off, and Yvonne Michelle runs over to me. He says, he goes, "Otis, I heard you were back training, but I had no idea that you're at this level." He goes, "I'm here looking at this Joel." I said, "What this guy's sparring with Josh Alcin?" He goes, "What?" He goes, he goes, "I hear you." He goes, I hear you looking to make a comeback." He goes, "If you want to come back, we got to bring you back." So that's where that whole comeback thing started, and I was able to work out a deal with them guys where they pay me some signing bonus money and get the money to open a gym. So these guys, I figure if I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna make this comeback be worth it for me. So if I rob the bank, I rob the bank. And
Yeah.
if I see after one fight I wasn't not able to, at least I got signing bonus money and I'd invested into our gym. So,
Absolutely.
So that was the reason I came back.
So at this point now, Howard's already retired. He's transitioned from boxer to
To a
trainer.
trainer, yeah.
So it was just sort of agreed upon how Howard was going to take the reins.
Yeah, exactly. Howard would have been my trainer. Like, I was, still hadn't thought or had in my mind that, I did a lot with Russ, but Russ and Howard were like, they're a little bit like oil and water. And I spoke to him about it, and he said, "Listen, man, if you want to come back, you want Russ in your corner, you can have Russ in your corner, but I'm not going to be there." And he was the guy I was working with. He was the guy I was training the pros with. He was the guy that I'm opening the gym with.
Of
So,
yeah.
So I said, all right, you have the corner, you call the shots, you work with who you want to work with.
Well, there's one more person that also has a say in calling the shots, though.
Yeah.
How did you get this past at home?
At
Your
home,
wife,
yeah.
your kids, your family.
I got
How did they
past-
react to it? And was that an obstacle? Was that a hurdle?
Yeah, that was my biggest hurdle. That was the only thing that would have prevented me from coming back. Because my wife was there from the jump. She saw the trauma. She saw me in a coma. She saw me in hospital for 1 month. She saw
Having dinner with Oprah.
She saw me with the rehabilitation
Yeah,
and me not being able to lift my arm from this high to this side. To even now, I don't lift my arm higher than here.
Wow.
So if she said, no, I don't want you to come back because it's too dangerous or you're going to get hurt or I don't want anything to happen to you, I would tend to I would listen. But you know what? She said to me, and I'll never forget it, she says, you know, Otis, she goes, you want to come back to boxing and you believe in yourself? She goes, if you believe you can do it, then I believe in you 100%. And she gave me the green light.
God bless. You know, they
Yeah.
say behind every good man is a great woman.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said,
Okay.
you believe you can do it, and I believe in you 100%. If you believe you can do it, you go ahead and try.
And now at this stage, your kids are a little bit older now too.
Yeah.
Right. So they can probably understand and follow
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And see you embark on this journey again. And it was an incredible one, because I remember they had you they're finally showcasing one of Canada's greatest warriors in Canada.
Yeah.
Again, they had mostly
Yeah.
at the casino, trying to make you rode back to the title, showcasing you at home at the casino.
Yeah, I finally got a chance to showcase my talent at home.
Yeah.
And these people who haven't seen me in
I was one of them. I was one of those kids that hadn't gotten to see you yet,
Yeah.
other than
So,
against Roy. You
I
know.
mean, it was a little bit late. It was at the end of my career,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, they have that saying, better
It's
late than
enough.
never, you know?
Yeah. But you made an incredible run at your pushing in your late 30s. At that stage, you know, six fight winning streak. You picked up another WBC regional belt.
Yeah, I won
You-
7 of 8 fights on
7
my
of
comeback.
8.
Yeah.
You went to
ranked number
right
one
at the
in the
world
world.
title
Yeah.
eliminator, and you were just at that stage. You were 38, 39 years old.
39.
Against a young undefeated bull
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
stage in his prime,
Librado.
Librado Andrade.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Librado and I are very good friends. to
Yeah,
this
you guys
day.
ended up. I remember I'd be coming here to spar. Back then, I'd come here an early start of my year sparring Lanchi
Yeah.
and Oliver Lanchi, and you guys had Herman Goujo. That guy was a bad dude. He did not give a quarter in that ring. Oh man, but and I'd be seeing you guys training Librado. You know.
Yeah. Librado and his son actually, they came to Canada last summer. They spent a couple of nights with me and my wife at home.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was an incredible journey. There should be a movie on you. You overcame insurmountable odds.
Adversity, yeah, for sure.
You already had a great. You already accomplished so much more than most Canadian fighters in history before your accident. What you did after the accident is just it's icing. But it's more than just icing. It's legendary stuff. Some big time stuff. Special human being. I've always looked up to you.
I appreciate that. Tony.
I've
really
always
do.
I've always admired what you had to battle back from with that, and I can just only imagine the mental, the doubts and insecurities and the hurdles and the trauma you had to ride. But you've always struck me as a pretty cerebral guy. Even when you talk about how you bounced back from your first loss, how you were able to compartmentalize and put it behind you. And that was yesterday. This is today, and just learn. You know, it's not. It sounds simple. You make it sound simple. It's not. It's not. Not everybody has that. You do. That's part of what made you special. What makes you even more special and such a good ambassador for the game. And this kind of stuff's not promoted enough. You were when you first went pro. You were balancing. You talked about you worked in schools, but to get there, you needed something on paper. You had a Bachelor of Arts in Recreation and Leisure Studies. You were a full-time university student while you were a full-time professional athlete as a young man back in the early 90s. From there, you became, I think what I understand, now this touches a special place for me because I have a special needs child.
Yeah.
So we need more guys like you out there. But you became a teacher assistant for many years at Riverdale High School.
Lindsay Place.
Okay.
Actually, I was in the Process School Board first, and I came over
Okay.
to Lindsay Place, and I worked with special needs kids, and then I left that to come back, and then I went to Riverdale.
Okay.
After my comeback, when I retired, I took.
What was it like working with those youth, that demographic? What was it like that?
Special needs kids, I think it was the best job I think I ever had in my life, man. I work with kids with, all kinds of issues like, Down syndromes, Tourette's, like you name it. And you know what? It was the most rewarding job that I think I've had. And I still remember two of my favorite guys. It was a kid named Navraj, an Indian kid, and his buddy was Robert. They were two special needs kids, and Navraj had Down syndrome, and he was a little bit of a guy that would, would make trouble. And then when he knows that he did something, he'd look at me and says, I'm sorry, my big guy. It always does my heart. My big guy. I'm sorry, my big guy. Like the feeling that and knowing that you can influence these kids and work with them. And I was really hard on the normal kids. I would give these kids, like, make fun of them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like it was a special job for me, man, and my heart has always been around the youth, and I've always done a lot of work with youth, but special needs youth. It holds a very special place in my heart.
I can relate to that because I was throughout my career I was a youth caseworker for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I worked mostly with troubled kids, juvenile kids, but some special needs kids too, and they touched my heart the most because they are the kids that got in trouble with the law, juvie, this and that, good kids, but attitude, rough backgrounds, that hardness to them. Right? It was harder to like them, but you knew they needed help and you helped them, and the reward came later when you meet them as adults. But those kids, man,
they'll know. Like, I've still run. I work with a lot of special juvenile, like borderline kids. That I'll run into them to this day in the supermarket or at the grocery store or in a movie theater with my wife, and they'll tell my wife, I know them, but like, if it wasn't for your husband, I would have been kicked out of school, or might have been locked up, or might have been in jail. But they might not realize it at the time when you're working with them, and you're giving them a hard time and showing them right from wrong. But as they grow older, they realize who the good guys were.
100%. Now, last one, Otis. Were you apprehensive when you were approached to loan your name for the Otis Grant and Friends Foundation? Were you skeptical at first?
No, it wasn't even about me loaning my name. Otis Grant and Friends Foundation, it's me. Like, me and my buddies, Reggie.
It was your idea?
It was
I always
an
thought
organization called the Helping Hands.
Okay.
Asked me to loan my name to help them with a food drive. And this was after a car accident. Now, what happened was I had Sammy Fruits. They have Sammy Fruits now all over the place. But that guy was one of my sponsors, a good friend of mine. But him and Sharkies, which was this guy here, Reggie, they were my sponsors, and they worked in produce, fruits and vegetables and all that. So these people asked me to loan my name to a food drive. I called a little meeting with my friends. I asked them, I said, what you got to do with your stuff at Sammy's if it doesn't get sold? And I said, we donate it to charity, to Maison Montreal or whatever. I said, before you donate your next batch, I want to take it and give it to this organization to help them with the Christmas time, feeding people at Christmas, And he said, okay, leave it with me. So when he was making his orders, he put in there his orders, hey, I'm involved in food drive to help community. And within 3 weeks of doing this, he brought me 10 tons of produce, 10 tons. Fresh product. And that's when it was so much stuff, it was too much stuff to give just to that one program. So we decided to start the foundation, the Otis Grant and Friends. Otis Grant, these guys are my friends. Yeah. We started that, and
I hear you guys on the radio station all the time for years.
Yeah, we just picked up the phone the first couple of years, and called. If people was feeding people, soup kitchen, homeless shelters, we called them. We get a truck, come pick up some food, and that's how we started. And the foundation has been
nationwide now.
Yeah, it's been.
You guys are offering scholarships,
doing a variety of philanthropic work.
Sending kids to summer camps for families that can't afford it, all kinds of stuff. It's more than just clothes, food, and medicine now, but it started off in the community to now nationwide. But you guys are offering
mostly just food. But now it's I worked in the high school system, and they give a few scholarships in my name it's now PC. They'll move to PC. So a less to be person has an award called the Otis Grant Award. That goes to a kid that's, doesn't have to be a genius in the classroom, but has good marks and very good in the school community and the outside community that volunteers and gives back. So I've done what I can to make my mark and leave a good impression and to take that shadow that you know, prize fighters and professional boxers. You know,
You broke the stigma.
They're a bunch of thugs. Like,
Absolutely.
we're much more than that.
100%. Well, Otis, 100%. It's been a pleasure. It's been my honor.
All right, man.
It's been my honor to share the ring with you today. Thank you for taking the time. And
Thanks for coming by and for highlighting me. And
Hey,
it's great
well,
for me to be in your first episode of your podcast, man. I wish
I
you the
love it,
very
champ.
best of luck
Thanks so
with
much,
it.
Otis.
And anytime you want me on, just come back and let me know.
Absolutely,
All
brother.
right?
You got it,
Give me a
man.
call and I'll be there for you.
Okay, thank you.